Hi, and welcome to Embodied and Beloved Faith, Healing, and the God Who Meets Us in the Body. I'm Shannon, a manual osteopathic therapist, and every day I sit with women who are carrying more than pain in their bodies. Often there's stress, grief, exhaustion, and questions about healing that don't have easy answers. When I say embodied, I mean this that our faith is not something we live out only in our thoughts or beliefs, but in our nervous system, our breath, our posture, and the stories that our bodies are holding. Our bodies are not separate from our spiritual lives. They are a place where so much of it unfolds. And this podcast is for women who are learning to listen to their bodies with compassion, who are discovering that healing is a process rather than a finish line, and who are coming to trust that God meets us not only in prayer or reflection, but right here within the lived experience of the body. You are embodied. You are beloved, and you are not alone. All right. Hello, and welcome to episode 4. Today, I want to talk about burnout, but not just the kind where you're a little tired and need a break. I mean the kind where rest doesn't seem to touch it, where your body feels heavy, but your mind won't slow down, where even simple things feel like way more than they should, and you can't quite figure out why. And maybe the most confusing part is that you're doing everything you're supposed to be doing. You're showing up, you're responsible, you're taking care of people, you're trying to be faithful, and still you feel exhausted. If that's where you are, I want to say this right at the beginning. This isn't random, and it's not a personal failure. There's a reason that your body feels this way. So, burnout gets talked about a lot, but often in a really surface level way. It's usually framed as being too busy or not getting enough sleep or just needing a vacation. But real burnout goes deeper than that. It's what happens when your body has been in a state of output for too long without enough restoration to balance it. It's not just physical tiredness, it's your nervous system staying activated for so long that it doesn't really know how to come down anymore. So even when you try to rest, your body doesn't fully receive it. You might stop moving, but internally, things are still running. And that's why burnout doesn't just resolve itself with taking a day off. It's not a short term problem, it's a pattern that's been building over time. And here's something important. Burnout doesn't usually happen to people who don't care. It happens to people who care deeply, to people who are dependable, those people who are capable, the people who are used to being the one others rely on. They're the ones that don't drop the ball, the ones who figure things out, and the ones who keep going even when they're tired. And over time, that way of living starts to cost something. Not because you're doing anything wrong, but because you're carrying more than your system was designed to hold without enough space to recover. When this goes on long enough, the body starts to show it, not as failure, but as communication. You might notice constant tension that doesn't really go away, shallow breathing, fatigue that lingers no matter how much you sleep, or that feeling of both being wired and exhausted at the same time. That's not your body breaking down. That's your body staying in a protective state because it hasn't had the conditions it needs to fully settle. Your body isn't broken, it's overextended. And this is where it starts to touch something deeper. Because for a lot of people, burnout isn't just physical, it's also connected to how they relate to responsibility and even how they relate to God. Not in an obvious way, but in the quiet belief that it all depends on you. That if something doesn't get done, you make sure it does. That if you don't carry it, it might fall apart. that being faithful means consistently available, consistently strong, and consistently holding things together. And over time, that belief becomes heavy because you are not meant to carry everything. At some point, burnout forces a question that most of us would rather avoid. What am I holding that isn't actually mine to hold? Because control can feel like responsibility, and responsibility can start to feel like identity. But trusting God doesn't always look like doing more, or trying harder, or pushing through. Sometimes it looks like releasing your grip on things you've been holding tightly for a long time. And that's not easy, because letting go can feel risky. It can feel like things might fall apart. But holding everything together isn't actually what's keeping things in place. It's just what's exhausting you. When a body reaches burnout, it's not asking for a complete life overhaul all at once. It's just asking for something simpler, but also harder, because it's asking for you to start noticing where you override your limits, where you keep going when you're already tired, where you say yes when something in you is asking for space. It's asking for moments of pause, moments where you come out of constant output, even briefly, not to fix everything, but to begin creating conditions where your body can feel a little more safe. Your body is not asking you to quit your life. It's asking you to live it in a way that doesn't cost you yourself. So if you're feeling burned out, I want to be really clear with you. You are not failing, you are not weak, and you are not behind. You're likely carrying too much for too long without enough space, support, or margin. And your body is finally asking you to pay attention to that. You were never meant to carry everything. Your capacity has limits, and that's not a flaw. Rest is not something you earn after burnout, and you're allowed to stop before you break. So, what are you carrying right now that feels like it all depends on you? Before we finish today, I just want to leave you with this. If you've been feeling burned out, if your body feels tired in a way that rest hasn't fixed, I hope you can take a moment here and let your shoulders drop, even just a little. You don't have to hold everything right now. You don't have to solve everything. And you don't have to prove your strength by pushing past your limits. May you begin to notice what you've been carrying and gently question whether it's even yours to carry alone. May you find small amounts of rest that don't need to be earned, just received. And may you trust that God is not asking you to exhaust yourself in order to be faithful. He is present with you in the slowing down, in the releasing, and in the space you're learning to create. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to have limits. And you are still held even when you stop holding everything else. So thank you for being here with me today. If this episode resonated with you, feel free to share it with someone who might need the same reminder. And I will talk to you again soon.